necessary? And more importantly, what do the fans think? Mark Bannerman reports.
Skiffaletti, quick play the ball. Morgan, short ball. Morgan reaches out, plants it down.
Well, I always thought rugby league was a game that belonged to the fans, and I think that as more money becomes involved in the game, the fans are losing control.
Spectacular play. David Buka. Oh yes, stand up and cheer.
We don't want our fans and the fans of clubs to stand and see their clubs slowly die. The game has been through too much in the last 3 years for that to be an option for us.
I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked
It's crunch time in rugby league, on and off the field. Torn apart by Super League, overtaken by the AFL's national competition, the NRL has put its oldest clubs on notice. Merge or die.
I love my footy.
All right. You want your... Oh, this is like Jono's.
Sunday morning, and in the Blaney household, a ceremony of near religious significance is taking place.
Magpie.
Rod and his wife Janelle are preparing for a day at the footy, a day spent supporting their beloved western suburbs Magpies.
It's just something in the heart. I've grown up, you know. Dad used to take me to Lidcombe Oval years ago. I don't know, it's something money can't buy it. You can't explain it all, but there's a passion there that's, you know, you feel the good, you feel the bad.
This is a passion that did not come out of thin air. Janelle's father, Tom, has been a lifelong fan, naming his daughter after the West player John Snoozer Elford.
There we go.
And I said to Snoozer, we'd had a few beers, and I said, I'm going to name my first child after you. And it turned out to be a girl. And I thought, boy, how are we going to come up with a name here? And we went through the books and everything, and we came up with Janelle, which was the closest John and Elford.
Radonicus getting it well wide to Dora here. Short kick over the top, chasing it through. He's got it back a try.
They've been real battlers. They're underdogs. And, you know, I thought Australians love an underdog, and maybe that's why we support them. And probably, I'd say, if you asked a lot of people who their second favourite team is, I'd say they'd say the Magpies.
Come on, you Magpies. Put your hand in your pocket.
But love does not necessarily deliver dollars. Despite dedicated fans and a new stadium in the southwest of Sydney, Wests have found it tough to match it with the wealthier clubs.
I think everybody here knows now.
This week, the chief executive, Jim Marsden, told the fans the news they had been dreading. To survive, they would have to merge with another of the league's foundation teams, the Balmain Tigers.
I can tell you that nobody in the Magpie camp and nobody in the Balmain camp ever wanted or desired to enter into joint venture negotiations.
I'm not happy about it.
Why not?
I'd rather West stand alone. Traditional club.
Now, why are you disappointed?
Well, the tradition with the West have been, 90-odd years now, so it's a shame to get to support somebody else.
I think it's absolutely fantastic. I think it's going to make a strong team out in the West, and we're going to have someone to barrack for the first time in a lot of years.
They're taking the game away from the people who count most, the fans. If it wasn't for them, like, paying their money every week coming through the gate, you know, the rugby league would have no money, they'd have no clubs.
Of course, Western Suburbs aren't the only team with problems. Under a plan hatched by the Rugby League 18 months ago, the competition has to be cut from 17 to 14 teams. That means 6 teams have to merge to produce 3, or 3 must go out altogether. It's a remarkable target. The question is, why do they need to do it?
You cannot carry in Australia a national competition where we had 20 teams in the national competition. You can't sustain that in terms of quality on the paddock, a good quality structure in your competition, and financially viable clubs.
Neil Whittaker is the NRL's chief executive. A former player, he believes the number of teams must be cut or the league will die.
We have to be competitive in the athlete market. So there is a certain cost that you carry for your elite athletes. If they're spread across 20 clubs, there's an enormous cost that the industry bears, the sport bears. If they're spread across 14 clubs, then it's probably it's sustainable.
What are they saying to someone like you who's been a lifelong supporter?
You can't support the team you grew up with, love. But here's another team. Go support them. You know, they're called something else. We'll put them in your area. But if you want to watch a game of league, you go watch them.
Lockett's in amongst it. There he is.
This approach by the Rugby League stands in stark contrast to the AFL. 3 years ago, football administrators in Victoria attempted to force a merger between Melbourne and Hawthorn. This was the result. It was a battle that many will never forget.
Just was an awful time that our game went through, and so as a result of that, the AFL decided that we would no longer make $6 million available to assist in a merger, and that from that point on, the destiny of clubs was very much in the hands of the directors and managers and members of the clubs, and the AFL would not be proactive in promoting mergers.
Ironically, this laissez-faire attitude by the AFL is likely to increase the pressure on rugby league. Rather than forcing clubs like the North Melbourne Kangaroos to merge, the AFL would prefer them to relocate to Sydney.
I think over the next several years, within a 5-year time frame, that yes, that Sydney probably could sustain another team on a full-time basis.
Hit up West, come on!
So where does this leave rugby league and fans like Rod and Janelle? Today, despite a late try and perhaps to emphasise the terrible problems facing clubs like Wests, they've been thrashed 68-10. It will be a long trip home for the family and time for them to ponder if they will in the future support a merged team called the Western Tigers.
I'd like to see the Magpie logo in there. The Magpie is important to us. But I'd hate to see any of the foundation clubs disappear. And I think they've all got a right to be there with their own identity.
Mark Bannerman reporting there.